Why revolutions turn violent. Psychologically, one of the most important patterns in history is this. When people live under long-term injustice, suppressed emotion doesn't disappear. It builds pressure until it eventually explodes. This is one of the key reasons revolutions often turn violent. A clear example of this can be seen in the French Revolution. Before the Revolution, France was deeply divided. The majority of people lived in poverty, while the monarchy and aristocracy held wealth and privilege. Over time, frustration grew. People did not just feel poor. They felt ignored, unheard, and invisible within the system. Psychologically, this creates what is known as collective emotional buildup. When a large group of people experiences the same long-term injustice, emotions begin to synchronize. Anger becomes shared, frustration becomes collective, and hope for change becomes urgent. But when peaceful channels for change feel blocked or ineffective, something else can happen. The emotion that was once controlled can become uncontrolled action. As tensions increased in France, the situation eventually reached a breaking point. In 1789, the revolution began. Crowds took to the streets, symbols of authority were attacked, and institutions of power were challenged. One of the most famous early moments was the storming of the Bastille, which became a symbol of resistance against the monarchy. But as the revolution continued, it began to shift. What started as a movement for change slowly became more extreme. Fear and suspicion spread. People began to worry about betrayal from within. This created a psychological cycle known as radical escalation. When a movement becomes emotionally intense, it can begin to justify increasingly extreme actions in order to protect itself or achieve its goals. As a result, violence increased. Trials became faster, accusations became easier, and punishment became more severe. This period is often associated with the rise of mass executions during the revolution. Psychologists explain this by showing how group emotion can override individual restraint. In highly emotional environments, people are more likely to follow the dominant mood of the group, rather than their personal moral judgment. Fear, anger, and survival instincts begin to influence decisions more than reflection or empathy. Eventually, the revolution that began with demands for justice transformed into a period of intense instability. Leadership changed repeatedly. Alliances shifted quickly, and trust within society weakened. But it also left behind a lasting lesson in human psychology. Revolutions often begin with legitimate grievances, but when emotional pressure builds without stable systems to guide it, change can become unpredictable. The same force that demands justice can, if uncontrolled, produce further cycles of violence. Psychological lesson. When long-term injustice builds without resolution, collective emotion can turn from a demand for change into a cycle of escalation that becomes difficult to control.